embarrassment he's doing, but at some point, he's going to do more damage to them. And they don't know where that point is right now in their views, because he resonates with all of us. There's all, I mean, but I think if you're in that mood, then somebody like Michelle Bachmann or Sarah Palin is a healthier anti-establishment venti, much healthier.
I want to ask another question about Mexico. I recently read an article in the Claremont Review of Books that one of the takeaways was that the PRI may win next time against the PAN, and that one of the things that might happen is that they'll basically greenlight all the drugs. So I'm trying to figure out what the conservatives could be saying to Hispanics in the state of California, because they're a very, very important voting bloc. And I know you have a lot of really deep insights on that. I heard John Barbara said a week ago. So if you could give us your best shot at what conservatives should be saying to Hispanics.
I have said it. I think that a hope of conservative movement in California is, I know a lot of very conservative, self-employed Hispanics, and it seems to me that they will be empowered if illegal immigration is stopped. Because what we know is that when illegal immigration is stopped, we don't have 500,000 people coming in here without legality, without English, and without education. What happens is the people who are here start to go through the traditional American process of integration, intermarriage, and assimilation. And when that happens, then they don't feel that they have an obligation for tribal fidelity to people coming in every generation. And then you'll start to see traditional Hispanic values start to resonate. Now they can't, because the issue is so polarized that everybody I talk to who's conservative feels that they have some obligation to speak out more immigration. It distorts the entire issue. That's why it's alive. That's why the Democratic Party in La Raza, by the way, this is 2011 La Raza, the National Council of the Race. I mean, that right there is the tip-off. So they like the separatism and the division and the illegal immigration because it abrogates and aborts a natural process of Hispanics. Most of the Hispanics that I know who are third generation are not Hispanic. They don't consider themselves Hispanic. They consider themselves as much Hispanic as I'm Swedish. And believe me, there are a lot of people that do not want that natural evolution for a variety of political reasons. But that's the great hope of all of us. Stop, close the borders, worry about everything else, just close the borders now, stop it, and then it'll start to accrue politically to the Republicans' advantage.
Thank you very much for taking my question. I wanted to ask you, I guess to me, Obama doesn't know how to add and subtract, so he probably has to go back through the training that people have been trying to give our young kids. I was surprised that the press always gives this guy a free pass on the budget. We have a $1.6 trillion budget from 500 billion. And they argue over a $30 billion cut, which he calls the greatest cut in the budget. And I just wonder how you look at that.
It's unsustainable. So yeah, it reminds me. I farmed for a number of years. It reminds me in 1983, the price of raisins went from $1,450 to $440 in 1 year. And so my family, we were all saying, we're going to use used staples. And so when we had to fix the vineyard, we'll use used staples. And I said, well, that'll save us $140. And I said, wow, we're going to buy sulfur in bulk. And I did all these really brilliant things, and I realized, you idiot, you just lost $250,000 in income. And there's no way you're going to be. And so that's where we are. We can do it, but we're borrowing, what is it, $170 million an hour? If you look at them, there's absolutely no way that you can get out of this mess unless you address entitlements, you have a balanced budget amendment coming up. You're going to have to make massive cuts. You're going to have to go back to the budget, not of 2008, 2007. You're going to have to go back to 2005, 2004. That's when we had About 2.4 trillion is what we have in revenue, that's what we spend. I don't know about you, but I didn't think 2004 was such a bad year.
One very quick thing. Do you think we can ever have anything in the United States parallel to what happened in Egypt against our own government?
Well, I lived in Greece 3 years, and believe me, we're on track to follow what they're doing. Yeah, I'm worried about that. I'm worried about it because of the rhetoric. When you see a society start to implode like Greece, you can see the rhetoric. And the rhetoric in the United States is sort of an angry, I deserve this, and this is what I did, and you did something wrong, and it's scary. It reminds me of classical stasis and factionism, because believe me, I've never seen the class warfare card played as it has been. And, you know, I always speak out when I go to my food market. The other day I was the only person to use cash that didn't have social services. I always tease the people who are the checkers, and I get in arguments. And it reminded me of yesterday, 2 days ago, there was a guy on unemployment. He said he was mad because he thinks they're going to cut off the third year. And I said, oh, you've been unemployed for the third year? And he said, it's not like I wasn't working. I have been laying tile. So, I mean, that was the excuse for taking government money, that he was still working, he just got it in cash. I don't know, it's a very tense time, we're full of class strife right now.
Mr. Hanson, thanks for coming out to Mountain View. I'm also a recovering Democrat and struggled over that 1980 election, but when I saw the embassy in Islamabad burning and the creep in Nicaragua and our hostages, my real question is about Israel. It scares the heck, what's going on in Iran, it scares the heck out of me. It's like the Titanic is heading for this iceberg. And do the Israelis really have the survival instinct? Because these facilities are deep in the ground and spread out, and they may have to use nuclear weapons to wipe them out. I'm afraid we're witnessing the future, and we can see what's gonna happen. Could you project on that?
Yeah, I do. I share your worries, because everybody says to me, we have a lot of people at Hoover, the institution, they get these ferocious arguments. They always say, well, Pakistan has nuclear weapons and they're deterred. And I'm saying, well, yeah, they have 1 billion person India next to them that deters them with 400 nuclear weapons. I don't see any rival of Iran in the region to deter them, and I think that radical Shia theology is a little different than Sunni theology right now. I know that Bin Laden was a Sunni, but I think that that's a revolutionary movement, that Hezbollah, the destruction of Lebanon, it's Syria, the efforts from Syria, it's very scary, and I don't know how to combat it, because it seems to me that the world is, and this issue is absolutely morally bankrupt, and they have 3 or 4 criteria. They look at oil and they say, they got oil, Israel doesn't. Then they look at terrorism, they say, they got a lot of terrorists, Israel doesn't. So if I write something critical or a cartoon or something, they can kill me, but I can say anything I want. And, you know, they're anti-Semitic, and that's another thing. And then Israel's tiny, it's got 7 million. So they go through all the real politique, and there's 4 things that are in the favor of radical Islam in the Middle East, Arab countries, and 0. And the old traditional American, you think somebody with a position of responsibility is going to say, wait. It's a constitutional government. It's pro-American. It's enlightened. It creates more goods and services than Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Libya put together just on the basis of 7 million people. It's a unique canary in the mine for our own morality. So we have to do something that doesn't make realpolitik sense, although I think it does, but we'll just do this because it's the right thing to do. You never see anybody making that argument. And so what's even scarier, when I was growing up, the people who didn't like Israel were the sort of caricatures of right-wing Montanaites that were. But today, the people who don't like Israel are right over there in the Stanford campus. It's a very insidious left-wing phenomenon that's mostly academic. It's much scarier because it's much more subtle, the anti-Semitism and the anti-Israelism. It's really a product now of the left, where it used to be just the right. I'm worried. I don't know what the answer is. I think the answer has to be that people have to stand up and say, I support a constitutional state that's a humane society. And I do not support the people who are trying to destroy it, and I will pledge my support.
Two more questions. One, two.
Oh, very good. Hello, Mr. Hanson. We had some excellent news come out of Canada last night, and I was wondering what your thoughts were about the Canadian election and the trend in the Western world, and whether you think this is prescient for what could potentially happen in 2012.
You know, that's a very good point, because isn't it funny that Canada and Europe they're basically telling us don't go there. We tried state planning, we tried high taxation, we tried taxing to death the productive classes, we tried to have these entitlements, they destroyed personal initiative, they're contrary, they're antithetical to the goals that we wanted, they're divisive, and we don't think it works anymore. We saw it doesn't work in Portugal, it doesn't work in Greece, the Germans are rebelling, everybody's rebelling against it, except us. And people are just baffled overseas. I go overseas a lot and I do a lot of it, and they're just baffled. And I think that it's all good news, and it's sort of my sense of it, and that's why I'm not, I can sort of say that I'm pessimistic, and I am, but I knew that when we had a lot of pollsters at Hoover, they all said that the Democrats are only going to lose 20 seats. And I'm not a pollster, but I said they're going to lose 50. They lost 63. I have a feeling that when I talk to people, there's a righteous anger, and it's sort of, I would express it like this. I'm not going to get angry in public. I don't want to be accused of anything. But you know what? I am mad, and I'm going to vote. I'm going to give money in a way that I never have in my life. It's really going to surprise people. I hope.
Dr. Hanson, thank you for the opportunity to listen to you speak. I just have one question. I suspect many others here would be, what would you do in an administration if they call upon you to be part of the administration?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
What would you do in a future Republican or Democrat administration if they call you up and say, Dr. Hanson, we need somebody who is not a namby-pamby politician?
Well, I think everybody has to know their limitations, and I can praise entrepreneurs because I was a farmer, and I thought I knew how to farm, the farm side, but I was not a good business person. I know what I can do. I can write fairly well sometimes. I was a good professor, but I don't think I have a lot of respect actually for a lot of, not politicians, but a lot of individual politicians, because I look at their lives that they lead, and they sacrifice a lot. So I don't think that would be my role. My role would be to critique them. What I think the great worry right now is in the Conservative Party is that the conservative group is that there's a group of people, I see them at work where I work. I see them, I won't mention their names, but they're in the Washington, New York corridor, and there's sort of an idea that conservatism, republicanism is a social milieu, and that you will be liked by the left to the degree in which you pull your punches, you sort of go through the motions, and it's been very destructive for the country. So what I think we need now is that people who are the conservative side, I'll mention that I don't really agree with David Brooks and David Frum, Peggy Newman, and all those people. I think what we really need now is to say, I'm not going to be quiet. This is what I think, and you can call me every damn word in the book, and it makes absolutely no effect on me.
Hanson, distinguished guest speaker, for dedicated service to the principles of American liberty. Thanks so much for coming. dear.